Hey, Lisa Palcic.
Hi.
You are an ex-tennis player, as am I, as are many people on the pickleball court, which is why the complete illustrated guide to pickleball is more important for tennis players. Lisa wrote it. It's awesome. I know I say this every time I talk to you, but I always feel like if it didn't weigh so much, it's this substantial book. I should take like I don't know, a shopping bag worth of them to True Pickleball Club and say, "Who wants a book? Get your hot copy right here." Because so many people could benefit from it and enjoy it. It's a great book. As an ex-tennis player at a high level,
Uh-huh.
what is one of the most important things that we did when we were hitting the ball, other than a volley, which in singles you don't even hit that many anymore with the way the game has evolved? A big old backswing. One of the most
Yeah.
important things you're taught. Put your left hand out and your back on a forehand and your backhand, and then you sweep through it up across your shoulder. And aren't you pretty when you hit the tennis ball? And
Yeah.
and there's strings on the racket, amazingly. And so
Hmm.
the ball is brushing up with its great top spin or whatever it might be, or slice on the ball. And that's the opposite of what we should be doing in pickleball. And
Yeah.
so the backswing is a game killer. It's a shot
Hmm.
killer. But so
Hmm.
many ex-tennis players like to hang back.
Right.
They didn't quite get the memo that pickleball is played at the kitchen. It's won or lost at the kitchen. So they hang back in the
Hmm.
backcourt and they take these monster big backswings. And
Yeah.
it works maybe for the return of serve,
Hmm.
maybe for a third shot. But then after that,
Right.
it's also a signal to the person receiving it. Whoa, look at that big tennis backswing. I guess you don't really haven't learned how to play pickleball yet. I'm going to let that ball fly because it's
Yeah.
probably flying.
Yeah. I
Talk
have a
about the
whole
back in general.
so I have a whole chapter or
Yeah,
section
you
in my
do.
book called Bye Backswing. So,
Yes.
yeah, and in tennis I had a huge looping backswing
Yep.
when I hit my tennis shots. So, when I started playing pickleball, I had to take out that loop because that
Mm-hmm.
loop even on my return of serve, it's a timing issue. So, in
Right.
pickleball, timing is everything when it comes to catching that ball in the proper strike zone. Now,
Yes.
when we talk about different areas of the court, so if we're talking about return of serve, that is the one place where a backswing is
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
However, you don't want to add anything to the backswing that's going to take too much time. So, like I said, as a tennis player, I had a big old loop, had to take the loop out. So I dropped the paddle straight down. Yes, I do pull it back to hit my return of serve, but I try to keep it as efficient as possible because the pickleball isn't going to sit up like a tennis ball does for you. So you just
Right.
don't have that time, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are other times when I'm hitting a return of serve. Let's say that the court is in an area where, and not every court facility is perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have pickleball courts on tennis courts where the tennis net is in your backswing when you're hitting. And there are sometimes where players have to eliminate the backswing altogether on the baseline just because they simply don't have room based on where they're
Yes.
playing, right?
Yes.
Now, when we talk about besides the return of serve, backswings are going to be a detriment to the shots that you're hitting. And I'm going to kind of address each of the shots. So, when we talk about the third shot drive, okay, the third shot drive is not the same thing as your return of serve. They are two totally different
Right.
techniques when you're hitting the
Right.
ball, but yet people think that it's the same exact stroke, right? But it's not, okay? It's
So
not.
I didn't actually realize that. So explain the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're hitting a return of serve, what do you want? You want that ball to go as deep as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And putting some arc on that ball is also a good thing because the more hang time of the ball, the more time
Yes.
it gives you to come
Yes.
forward, right?
Yes.
Now, when you're hitting a third shot drive, okay, that shot is meant to get you into the net, right? But you also don't want that ball to go all the way deep to the baseline on the other side because if you do, your opponent is able to play it out of the air. And you
Yes.
don't want that, right? So, just technical wise. So I'm going to talk about return of serve just for another second. When I'm
Okay.
teaching return of serve, when people aren't getting enough depth on the return of serve, what I'm looking at is okay, where are you holding the ball? How are you holding the ball? If they have the ball too far in front of them, it's going to shorten their serve, right? So if the ball in front of you shortens the serve, then that means the ball in front of you on a third shot drive is going to help to shorten that ball, which is what we want. We want it to land either at our opponent's feet mid court, or we want it to dip at the opponent at the net, right?
Yes.
So the other thing is topspin is important on that third shot. However, when you come up to the ball, you want the ball much more in front of you than you do on a return of serve. You want to get low, lean in, and then you're going to roll over top of it just from a forward swing. Now, why do I want that? Number one, without the backswing, the ball's going to sit up higher for me because the time that I would have taken in the backswing, that ball
Right.
just dropped lower.
Yep.
So it's going to sit up higher for me when I don't take the backswing. The other thing is it's going to come on my opponent sooner, which is what I want that ball to do. I
Yes.
want it to catch them in the feet as they're coming up. Then by taking it further in front of me, it's also a forward momentum shot. So it's going
Right.
to also lead me in off of the technique on that third shot drive, right?
So can I just say one thing about the backswing that you're pointing out, which is really
Yes.
important?
Yes.
One often has to take a step back if they're going to do a big backswing. So and then now their weight is back, it's on their heels. Now they have to adjust and come forward, and they've lost all that time.
Yeah,
So the backswing
absolutely.
it forces you to either be neutral or slightly backwards in order to then come forward with your backswing. But now your feet are still planted. So now
Yeah.
you have to get, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. And now, as we work our way forward, let's talk about the backswing on other shots. If you're hitting a third shot drop, if you take a backswing on that, it's going to encourage the ball to go higher and deeper than you want it to. Playing the ball in front of you, it's going to keep the shot that you're hitting lower.
Right.
Just strike zone wise, body mechanics wise, the shot isn't going to be able to go higher based on the way that you're hitting it.
Yes.
So taking that backswing is not good on any third shot. So we want to eliminate that completely. Now, let's say we're coming forward, right?
Yep.
Anytime you take a backswing on a ball, the timing, it's that whole chain reaction, right? So if I take a backswing, the ball's lower, the ball's now maybe not in the best strike zone for me. I'm now not looking at the ball, I'm looking at my opponents.
So Lisa, just to interrupt, if the ball isn't in front of you, then you have to take a backswing. And the backswing means you are not really looking at the ball correctly. You're looking up at your opponent's face. And isn't there this saying that if you can see your opponent's earrings, and that could even be a guy nowadays,
Yeah.
then you're looking in the wrong place.
Yes.
Because that's where the ball's going to go, right into their strike zone.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about this issue of the backswing as you move forward and why less and less backswing, like none.
So we already talked about the third shot drive and the third shot drop. So our approach shots, having the strike zone in front of us is going to help you to see the ball that you're hitting. It's going to, stroke mechanic wise, it's going to produce a better stroke because there's not anything unnecessary in there, right? Now, let's say you've gotten to the kitchen line, right? Now I'm up at the kitchen line. Volleying with a backswing that's a slippery slope. Now, we have a lot of pro players that hit two-handed strokes.
Yes.
Where there's a little bit of backswing in that. However, they're pro players, right?
Thank you. Thank you. This is a show for rec players. Don't look at Annalie's awesome two-handed backhand volley and think, I want to do that, because we all kind of think that.
Yeah.
And one of the coaches on this show, Veronica Alteri, she can do it. Veronica is built like a football player in a good way. She's so powerful, upper body strength.
Yeah.
Boom. But let's just talk, and that requires some backswing, that two-hand.
And not much, but still, it's a different stroke, right? So when we're talking about rec play, and this is even really up to the low 4-5 level or so, we want to keep our volleys more simple, and we want to play the ball in front of us.
Yes.
So the more we play the ball in front of us, first of all, the ball's going to be at a higher point, right? Because the further back you bring your paddle back, the lower that ball drops, the less likely you are to look at it, right? And then that backswing, as you go forward, you're going to be looking at your opponent on your volley, and then the entire volley motion is going to break down. We're going to end up doing things like we're going to break our wrist, and our follow through is not going to be good. So again, it's that whole bad chain reaction. So when you're at the net, the general rule of thumb is if you can't see your paddle, you're doing it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So it's just going to make the ball come on your opponent faster. It's going to make your shots more efficient. It's going to make it more possible to get your ball down sooner. Now, when I talk about the difference between levels, and again, like I like to point out, okay, so I do lessons all the time, and I
Sure.
have certain players that are trying to break through from 3-5 to 4-0 or 4-0 to 4-5.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors that separate those levels. But
Yes.
the one biggest thing that I always tell my players is it's the person that can get the ball down at the feet first that
Mhm.
is going to be the most effective and win the point, right? It's not
Yes.
about who
Yes.
can hit it harder right here, right?
God,
I
no.
mean, so I say, okay, depending on your level, there should be an alarm bell that goes off in your head saying, oh my gosh, I have to get this ball down. So at the 3-5 level, I
Mhm.
say, okay, you might have 2 to 3 balls that are up in this area where, maybe someone didn't get it down. But after that, you have to be going, I got to get this ball down at somebody's feet. You can't do that with a backswing, right? And
See,
then
now
if
that can I just say that's really the thing that a lot of pros that's the missing piece of that advice. Get the ball down. How many times was I told? I don't have to be told it as much anymore. Get the
right,
ball down, get the ball down. And you think, I'll hit down on it. But the
right,
thing is, if you had a backswing, it's not the same as if your paddle's in front of you and you can see it and you're
yes,
hitting out and down, because it's not
yeah,
just down, it's out and down.
right,
But I think that the thing you're pointing out about bye bye backswing, it's really hard to get the ball down if you had the backswing. It
yes, yes,
changes the paddle face, the whole
right.
trajectory, right?
Absolutely. And you're more likely to hit into the net or hit
Yes.
wild, right? So then it's also your shot percentage is going to go way down as far as effectiveness, right? And
Yes.
so that's the other thing that I mentioned about the swinging volley. It's not that I don't like the swinging volley. I think it's wonderful if you're proficient at it and if you can get the ball down every time. If you're
Yes.
hitting swinging volleys and you're 1 for 10, that's not an effective shot. It might look
Right.
pretty, but it's not
Yes.
effective, right? So we need to be 8 out of 10 in the especially the 4-0 level. You should be able to 8 out of 10 times take a ball in your green light area and hit down at your opponent's feet with it. If you can't do that, your technique is off, right?
Right. And a lot of it has to do with the backswing.
Mhm,
I think in terms of these levels, it's important to know that at 3.0 to 3.5, again, I hope a lot of you are taking clinics or camps or lessons,
mhm,
because
mhm.
otherwise it is the blind leading the blind, folks. I've
Right.
had people come on a court and go, oh, I really like the way you play, for example. Give me any tips you want. I'm like, what? I'm just trying to learn it all myself, guys. And if I had a tip to give you, I've already been admonished, don't give tips in general.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
B, I'm now distracted from my game. So do not turn to your partner and go, tell me what to do next. Take a lesson.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think that at the 3.0 to 3.5 level, what are we told all the time?
yeah,
Paddle up, paddle
yeah.
up. I had a friend who actually wore a little earbud
Uh-huh.
and it said, paddle. This is how she had her son record it. Oh my God, this is going to turn you OCD. But in
Right.
fact, that is what you have to do. The paddle can
Yes.
never drift down. We're talking about
Yes.
at the kitchen, so it has to be
Yeah.
up. But
Yeah.
at 3.5 and above, it's not an issue of is it up? It's is it in front of you? Because
Yes.
some people
Yeah.
hold it up, but it's in their chest area. So they
Right.
don't see it. It needs to
Yeah.
be up and
So
out so you see it, right?
so how I explain when somebody's holding their paddle, okay?
Yep.
If I had a paddle in my hand, I'd show you. But the bottom corner of the paddle, which is
Yep.
right there, I have my players, when they're gripping their paddle, I have them hold it. So that bottom corner is going to be pointing at the ball wherever the
Wow.
ball is on the court, right? So I have them line up their toes and that corner of their paddle with where the ball is, right? Like a sight. So
I like it. Yeah.
yeah, so that you are absolutely 100% neutral ready when that ball comes to you. We could talk about different grip holds and all of
Right.
that and
Right.
how people hold their paddle, but anything that you do that's not neutral and in this sort of at the ball position is just something that's going to make you a little bit slower on getting
Yes.
to any particular shot, right?
Depending on where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yes.
So by having that paddle out in front and pointing at the ball, that's going to help you to be quicker on your shots. It's going to help you to get to any area of your body just as quickly. And then when we talk about body mechanics, as far as not taking the paddle behind you, the other thing is anytime we're hitting our volleys, when we're at the kitchen line, we get used to having this straight body, but we have to remember that, especially when hitting volleys, we're not meant to hit a volley with a straight body. If you were further back on the court, you wouldn't have a straight body when you'd be hitting your volley. You'd be taking a step with your volley. And people
Right.
forget that, right? So
Yes.
now I'm up at the line, I've got the paddle in front of me. And when I go to hit this volley, I'm going to slightly rotate my hips and my heels just so that it rotates the paddle, so that now if you see it's out in front of me right here, now when I hit that volley, boom, it's right there, so that it's a really quick attack and that ball can go down.
And what did it avoid? Backswing.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
if you try to stay square to the net and it's coming to the left or the right of you, if you don't adjust your hips, your hand, then
Mm-hmm.
you have to take a backswing, and
Right.
now you're in big trouble. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't see the ball, you're flailing in the
Yeah.
dark, even though
Yeah.
you don't realize it in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's also, the other thing is recovery. How do
Yeah.
you get back to the neutral? If you've taken a backswing, now you have to get that paddle in hand all the way to drift back in front of you.
Right.
You
And
lost time.
I always tell my players also, when they're hitting, especially volleys, when you bring your paddle back, it stops at your nose. If it goes past your nose,
Wow.
you're not looking at it anymore, right?
Wow.
So, but
Yes.
that requires that slight body turn. And then, but then
Yeah.
my eyes are going to be right there with the ball paddle
Yes.
connection, which is
I
where they
love it.
should be. So I always tell my players, wherever that volley height is, that's where you should be lined up so you can see the ball coming off your paddle. Now, one other area where I see that a backswing kind of ruins the shot is when somebody is trying to hit a lob.
Right.
Yeah, especially from the kitchen line, right? When we're up at the
Yes.
kitchen line, the lob is supposed to be a surprise, disguised
Yes.
disruptor shot, right? But if you take this back step and this backswing, guess what? You're alerting your opponent, hey, guess what? I'm doing something here, right? Same thing when you go to do a speed up from the kitchen line.
Right.
If you take a big backswing with the speed up, it alerts your opponent to know exactly what you're doing. So you have to learn, especially when you're hitting your shots from up at the kitchen line, that these are supposed to be disguised. They're supposed to come on my opponent as a
Right.
surprise. So I have to drop the paddle down in front of me, make it look like I'm going to hit a dink, but instead turn it into a lob, turn it into a speed up, right?
I
And
like that.
keep that in front.
That's why the really good speed up people can fool me, and I didn't understand why. It's
Right.
because nothing changes perceptibly with their paddle. They just
Right.
had a plan and they knew how to execute it without any signaling. All
Yes,
right, I'm
exactly.
on to you guys. Now I know the trick. Be ready. Lisa, thank you so much. I think Bye Bye Backswing is something that could be instituted, in fact, in some of the really power players. The bangers, who we have talked about and will continue to talk about, the bangers are backswing people.
Yes.
And we can fool them at their own game, partially because the backswing puts them at a disadvantage that they don't realize. But now that we know about it, we can take advantage of their disadvantage. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Lisa. That was terrific, as always.
You're
See
welcome.
you soon on the
Okay.
court, I hope. Take
Yes,
care.
awesome. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.